Shocking! 15 mythical creatures that actually exist in real life amaze the world. The mystical world of mythology isn't just about the glorious feats of heroes or the primordial power of gods, but also home to countless strange and terrifying monsters. These creatures don't appear often, but each appearance sparks curiosity, ignites the flame of imagination in human minds, and brings an indescribable fear. But did you know that fascinating world isn't confined to imagination alone, as some creatures truly exist right in reality, leaving many people astonished and overwhelmed? Aimugi. According to legend, the Aimugi is a mysterious giant creature in Korean folklore. Snake-like in shape, living for thousands of years with scales as sturdy as iron armor, and capable of spewing deadly acidic venom. However, the Aimugi isn't a benevolent dragon from fairy tales but actually symbolizes ferocity, destruction, and despair. Some opinions suggest that the image of the Aimugi might originate from the giant snake Titanoboa that once existed in history. This is the largest known snake species, over 13 meters long and weighing more than 1 ton. With such size, it's understandable why ancient people might mistake Titanoboa for a real dragon. Titanoboa fossils were first discovered in 2004 in Colombia, and by 2009, scientists officially announced it. Giant squid. Legend becomes reality. Legends of sea monsters have always been an integral part of mysterious tales. However, in 1853, a discovery shook the world. Norwegian scientists confirmed the existence of a real giant squid. This squid lives in deep seas and can reach lengths of 10 to 13 meters, measured from body to the longest tentacle tip. It's the largest invertebrate on the planet, possessing enormous eyes, even larger than those of whales. Giant squids are often found in Antarctic waters, but with current climate change and ocean temperatures, it's very likely they have or will migrate to other seas. This shows how this giant creature has turned from legend to reality. And it's vivid proof of the unsolved mysteries of the ocean. Camel-loppers. In the Middle Ages, stories about strange creatures called camel-loppers caused a stir in explorations. Described as monsters combining camel and leopard, with their bizarre shape and considered very dangerous. But in reality, camel-loppers are nothing other than giraffes. This strange name comes from the giraffe's characteristics: a long neck like a camel and spotted fur like a leopard. To medieval people, their peculiar shape was truly astonishing, even making them think it was a supernatural creature. No magic or danger here, is it? Griffin. Body and an eagle. But does this creature truly exist, or is it just the imagination of ancient people? Thousands of years ago, gold miners in Central Asia told of griffins with eagle beaks and lion-sized claws, often wandering around gold mines to protect treasures. However, according to scientists, they likely discovered fossils of the Protoceratops dinosaur, a species with a bird-like beak and size comparable to a sheep. This similarity led ancient people to stories about griffins. Besides Protoceratops, other dinosaurs like the elephant-sized Xenoceratops with distinctive horns were also found in the area. Interestingly, the images of these giant creatures perfectly match the legends of griffins. In many cultures, though not a real creature, griffin remains a fascinating mythical symbol through centuries. Headless people Blemmyes. In the Nubian region of Africa, around 300 to 600 AD, people whispered about a strange tribe with headless bodies.
According to legend, their faces were said to be right in the middle of their chests, with large bulging eyes and hairy shoulders.
But from a historical perspective, this story might originate from their unique fighting style.
When going to battle, the Blurry's tribe would lower their heads, pressing them close to their chests.
One hand on the ground in a defensive posture, this could make outsiders mistakenly think they had no heads. Whether just a legend or an exaggerated truth,
the story of the Blurries has somewhat enriched human imagination, leaving a deep and indelible mark in human history.
Kraken. Kraken, a giant sea monster, has long been deeply imprinted in human imagination, especially through the stories of sailors conquering the oceans. According to many, without the existence of real-life giant squids, stories about the Kraken might never have appeared. However, not all hypotheses affirm that the Kraken is a living creature. Some opinions suggest that the Kraken is actually just humanity's way of explaining dangerous and mysterious whirlpools in the deep sea. Thanks to literary works like those of Zulufegner, the Kraken is described as a giant monster with long tentacles,
capable of dragging even large ships on.
Legends often associated with the remote Navi seas, where the Bellstorm whirlpool phenomenon occurs frequently.
These whirlpools can sweep everything on the sea surface down to the ocean floor.
And from there, people imagined that only a supernatural creature could create such power.
With the appearance of giant squids in the deep sea, the image of the Kraken was further reinforced, becoming a symbol of unforeseen dangers from the ocean. Today, with scientific advances, people understand that the Bellstorm phenomenon is caused by seabed topography and ocean currents.
However, in the human mind, the Kraken remains a vivid image of mystery representing the fear and aspiration to conquer the seas. Goat-sucking demon. The legend of the Chupacabra is a mysterious creature that stirred public opinion in 1995, when a series of unexplained livestock deaths occurred in Mexico and Puerto Rico. This creature is described as resembling a hairless wolf with bright, piercing eyes, sharp teeth, and strange behavior. It's believed that the Chupacabra specializes in attacking goats, sheep, and other livestock to suck their blood, like a true vampire. The bizarre stories about the Chupacabra quickly spread, making many people believe it truly exists. However, scientists have argued that the Chupacabra is not a mysterious creature but actually wild dogs with severe mange.
This disease causes them to lose their fur, have pale skin, and look very frightening.
Due to their weak condition, they cannot hunt in the wild and often attack livestock as easier prey. Nevertheless, the image of the Chupacabra remains a famous symbol in regional folklore, reminding us of mystery and the power of human imagination. But if traveling to Mexico or Puerto Rico, you should also stay away from wild dogs to protect yourself from risks. The legend of werewolves, half-human, half-wolf creatures, has existed since ancient times and become an indispensable part of folklore in many places around the world. Perhaps the first story of this transformation originated from the epic Gilgamesh myths written around 2100 BC. Later, in ancient Greek and Roman culture, the image of werewolves gradually developed and perfected as we know today. One of the classic stories about werewolves is the incident involving the Beast of Gévaudan in France during the 18th century. The story begins when a woman was herding cattle in the Lotna forest and discovered a frightening creature. Initially, her bulls drove this creature away, but soon after, a series of deadly attacks occurred. With over 200 attacks, including 113 fatalities, these beasts are a terror throughout the region. Initially, people thought it was just an unusually large wolf, but subsequent records and accounts suggested it might be a pack of wolves working together. Although hunting campaigns were deployed, the obsession with the beast persisted. Some other hypotheses suggest that werewolf stories are actually misunderstandings when wildlife attacks were exaggerated or distorted over time.
Additionally, the possibility cannot be excluded that these stories were used for intimidation, control, or religious suppression in contemporary society.
Whether reality or fiction, werewolves have become an indispensable part of popular culture. They represent the fear of nature's wild power, while reflecting the dark aspects of human psychology throughout historical periods. Bunyip. In Australian Aboriginal mythology, the bunyip is considered a mysterious creature, hiding in the billabongs of the Pilliga, isolated freshwater areas, rivers, and large waterholes in southeastern Australia. The name bunyip often means demon or ghostly spirit, but its original meaning may have changed over time and through language contact. This name first appeared in 1812 to describe a large black animal, shaped like a seal and emitting terrifying sounds that made people shudder. Some people also believe that the story of the bunyip might originate from Australian fur seals frequently washing ashore after floods, with their wild cries arousing fear. Additionally, giant fossilized skeletons, such as those of prehistoric kangaroos or other ancient animals, might also have inspired the image of the bunyip. These creatures, weighing over 200 kilograms with impressively large standing height, must have left a strong impression on ancient Aboriginals, leading to their transformation into a mysterious and frightening symbol. Vampire deer. Although called vampire deer, this creature is not as terrifying as the name implies. In fact, they are musk deer, a small animal living in high mountain areas of Asia.
What makes this deer particularly notable is its unusually long canine teeth, resembling those of predatory animals. This characteristic has led them to be associated with ghostly creatures like vampires. However, musk deer are completely harmless.
They are herbivores, primarily living on plants and pose no danger to humans or any other animals. You can find them in wild areas such as mountains and pine valleys in Pyeongchang, South Korea. Therefore, this species is facing extinction due to hunting for their musk sacs, a precious ingredient in perfume production. From another perspective, musk deer are not symbols of fear, but rather evidence of nature's unique diversity, where each animal has its own role and story. Nemean lion. The Nemean lion is one of the famous creatures in Greek mythology. Described as an invincible monster with impenetrable thick fur and terrifying strength. According to legend, it once spread terror among the people of Nemea, forcing them to seek help from Hercules, the legendary hero, to destroy it.
The confrontation between Hercules and the Nemean lion is not just a story of victory,
but also carries deep symbolic meaning about courage and resilience. However, behind that legend, historians and biologists believe this story may have originated from the reality of ancient times. About 3,000 years ago, Asian lions once had a vast range, including the Greek region. Historical records show they appeared in Nemea around 1000 BC and existed until the 4th century AD. This indicates that lions were once a real threat to humans, especially in villages and rural areas. The image of the Nemean lion, when stripped of mythological elements, can be seen as a folk tale reflecting the survival struggle between humans and wildlife. Even the legendary figure of Hercules could represent Neolithic hunters who conquered nature to survive. The legend of the Nemean lion not only highlights Hercules' strength, rich imagination when facing life. Sea monsters Scylla and Charybdis. Stories about the sea always contain fascinating mysteries. Among them, the two famous sea monsters, Scylla and Charybdis, were terrifying challenges that epic heroes like Odysseus or Jason had to face. According to legend, these two creatures dwelled in the Strait of Messina. Scylla was said to live under a small rock on one side, while Charybdis occupied the opposite side. Navigating this strait was compared to facing two different dangers simultaneously. Scylla, with its fierce appearance, and Charybdis, a giant whirlpool, created fear for legendary sea voyages.
However, Charybdis was essentially just a natural whirlpool formed by strong currents.
Not as dangerous as described, except in severe weather conditions. Legends about Scylla and Charybdis not only existed in ancient Greek culture, but also spread, with various interpretations in different cultures, and stories about sea creatures. Always stimulate imagination, arouse curiosity, and evoke human invention. The Strait of Messina remains a place associated with legendary stories,
symbolizing the confrontation between humans and nature. Perhaps in the treasure trove of legends from other seas, there are still many similar stories yet to be discovered.
If so, they would surely be fascinating additions to the picture of sea legends. Herman Melville's Moby Dick is not only a fictional literary masterpiece, but is also built from real events in maritime history. The story was inspired by the tragedy of the whaling ship Essex, an American-owned ship that met with disaster in 1820 in the Pacific Ocean. On November 20, 1820, a giant white whale suddenly attacked the Essex with a powerful blow from its head.
The ship was quickly destroyed and sank to the seabed.
However, this was only the beginning of the sailor's tragedy. All 20 crew members survived the sinking, but they were stranded in the vast ocean. Facing hunger, thirst, and despair, only 8 people were eventually rescued and brought this horrifying story back to land. The image of this fish in Morbidic's work may have been exaggerated to enhance the drama, but the real addiction of the Aziz ship has left a profound mark in history. The work not only recounts the battle between humans and nature but also deeply reflects human greed, arrogance, and fear in the face of the boundless sea. The One-Eyed Giant. If you've ever read Greek mythology, you might find it very interesting with stories that showcase the incredible human imagination, such as winged horses, centaurs, and especially the one-eyed giant Cyclops. We all think that giants are just products of the rich imagination humans have created, but the following discovery might make you take a new look at this issue. On the islands in the Mediterranean, archaeologists have discovered giant skulls that appear to belong to one-eyed monsters. However, upon closer study, it was found that these skulls do not belong to cyclops but to dwarf elephants, an ancient species of elephant that roamed these islands hundreds of thousands of years ago.
Before going extinct around 400,000 years ago, this elephant species was quite small in size, with a mature individual standing only 90 centimeters tall, equivalent to a modern African elephant.
So why do these skulls evoke the image of a giant cyclops?
The secret lies in the nasal cavity, which was once the attachment point for the elephant's trunk.
Over time, this part decayed, leaving a large hole that looks very much like a giant eye socket. Before the 4th century, most Greeks had never seen an elephant, so when they encountered these fossils, their imagination filled the knowledge gap, and Cyclops was born. Brox, have you ever imagined a giant bird capable of carrying an elephant in its claws? That is Brox, a legendary bird associated with ancient myths and legends. According to scientists, Brox is most closely related to the emu or elephant bird, the largest birds in the world today. It is believed that Brox evolved and lived in Madagascar for 60 million years, when our planet was still home to giant creatures. Legends say that Brox had the strength to hunt elephants, but in reality, researchers confirmed they were herbivores, not the fearsome predators as in the stories. Detailed descriptions of Brox appear in the works of explorer Mark Coppola, who recorded these legends from his journeys. However, from around the 11th to the 12th century, due to overexploitation in human hunting activities, this giant bird completely disappeared, leaving us with unsolved mysteries. The legendary creatures we've just explored not only spark curiosity but also serve as evidence of the power of imagination and the connection between humans and nature. Through each story, we learn that every myth may originate from truth, and the truth is sometimes just as mysterious. This reminds us that the world still holds countless wonders waiting to be discovered. Which creature do you like the most?
Leave your thoughts in the comment section. Forget to like, subscribe to the mystery_core channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't. Subscribe to the mystery_core